A strange cry in the stars. The red dust floated slowly in the thin Martian air. Sarah Collins stood at the edge of her research lab, staring into the silent night. She had lived on Mars for 2 years now. Just her, a few machines, and the stars had sent her here to study deep space signals. Most of the time it was boring, just radio waves and static. But tonight, something felt different. A strange sound had come through her old receiver. It was soft, like crying. Not machine noise. Not wind, it was a voice. A child's voice. Sarah leaned closer to the console. The signal came again. Help, help me. The voice was weak but clear. Her heart skipped a beat. This can't be real, she whispered. But it was. The signal came from outside, far from her station. She grabbed her coat, flashlight, and oxygen helmet. The Martian night was cold and deadly, but she had to know. No one else was here. If someone needed help, it was up to her. She followed the signal tracker for almost 2 kilometers. Her boots crunched softly on the red rocks. Then she stopped. In front of her was a crater. And in the center, something glowing, a pod, small, silver, cracked open. Smoke rose from it like mist. Sarah moved closer. She heard the crying again. Inside the pod was a child, but not a human one. His skin was pale blue, almost silver. His eyes were too large, glowing violet. He had no hair, but he wasn't scary. He was tiny, shivering, afraid. Sarah knelt down. Are you hurt? The child looked at her, tears on his cheeks. He didn't speak at first. Then slowly, in perfect English, he said, They left me. Sarah felt a pull in her heart. This child, this alien child, was alone. Just like her. She picked him up gently. He was light as a feather. He didn't resist. His small arms wrapped around her. Let's get you inside, she said softly. Back at her station, she gave him a blanket and warm liquid food. He sat quietly, staring around with wide, curious eyes. Sarah didn't ask too many questions. She knew he needed comfort first. After a while, he spoke. My name is Eli. Sarah smiled. Nice to meet you, Eli. I'm Sarah. He looked at her closely. Are you a mother? The question hit her deep. She had lost her child on Earth. A car crash. A memory that still hurt every day. I was, she replied, a long time ago. Eli nodded. You can be mine now. If you want. Sarah blinked. She wasn't sure what to say. But her heart already knew the answer. She smiled. Okay, Eli, I'll be your mom. He leaned against her side and closed his eyes. Everything was calm. Until he spoke again. I'm sorry, Mom, but they're coming. Sarah froze. Who's coming? Eli opened his glowing eyes. The ones who want me back. Just then, the lights in the lab flickered. A cold wind blew through the sealed doors. Sarah looked outside the window. There were lights in the sky, and they were moving fast. Asterisk, you're not supposed to be here, asterisk. The lights outside Sarah's lab glowed brighter. At first, she thought it was just a meteor shower. But meteors don't move like that. These lights circled slowly in the sky, like something was searching. Inside the lab, Eli stood very still. His small fingers gripped Sarah's hand tightly. His glowing violet eyes didn't blink. They're here, he whispered. The collectors. Sarah's heart pounded. She looked out again. 4 dark objects floated above the Martian soil. Not ships. Not exactly. More like black bones covered in metal. Silent. No engines. Just floating. Who are they? Sarah asked. Eli turned to her. His voice was flat now, like he was remembering a nightmare. They find children like me. Children who change. They take us. Cut us, test us, until we forget who we were. Sarah stared at him. You're just a kid. Why would anyone do that? Eli said nothing, but his eyes started to glow a little brighter. Then the lab lights died. The silence was deafening. No hum of machines, no heating vents. Just the sound of their breathing. And then, something else. Knock, knock. It came from the back wall. A place with no doors. Sarah grabbed her emergency light. The moment she turned it on, a word appeared. On her screen, written in large red letters, "Return the specimen." Her mouth went dry. She quickly moved to her comms console and tried to send a message to Earth Control. "Mayday. This is Mars Base 4. I found something. A child. Something is here. I need backup." But the message wouldn't send. The screen glitched. Static filled the air. Then, a cold, artificial voice came through. "You are in violation of Galactic Bio Law Protocol 7. The asset must be returned." Sarah stared. "Who the hell are you?" But the voice didn't answer. Instead, her oxygen tanks began releasing pressure. Someone was controlling the systems from outside. Sarah rushed to seal the emergency systems and lock the doors. "We have to leave. Right now," she said. Ely didn't move. "I can't leave Mars," he whispered. "If I do, they'll find Earth too." "What do you mean?" He slowly turned to face her. His hands were trembling now. "They can track me through my blood." Sarah didn't understand. "Then why did you come here?" Eli looked up at her. "Because you're the only one who didn't run." A loud crash echoed from the storage bay. Something had landed inside. Sarah grabbed her old plasma cutter. It wasn't a weapon, but it was sharp enough to tear through steel. Her hands were shaking. She and Eli slowly moved through the dark halls of the base. Every step echoed. Every breath felt too loud. They reached the bay doors. Silence. Then movement. Something stepped into view. A tall figure, all black. Its face covered in smooth metal. No eyes, no mouth. But somehow, it was breathing. Eli gasped. "That's one of them." Sarah raised the cutter. "Get behind me." The figure tilted its head slightly, as if studying them. Then it raised one long finger and pointed directly at Eli. "Return the prototype, or Earth dies." Sarah's heart stopped. "Prototype," she whispered. "You mean?" "He's not. He's more than a child," the voice said from the figure. "He is an interface, the key to the hollow galaxy. A living gate." Eli stepped forward, his eyes glowing like stars. "I'm not yours anymore." Suddenly, the ground shook. The walls of the lab cracked. A strange blue light came from Eli's chest. Sarah had to shield her eyes. It was like watching a son being born inside a child. The black figure stepped back. "He's activated." "It's too late." With a loud electric pulse, Eli collapsed. The light vanished. Sarah ran to him, picked him up. He was still breathing, alive, but before she could move, the black figure spoke again. "You think you saved him, but you only made things worse." Then it vanished, dissolved into black dust, and blew away into the air vents. Back in the lab, Sarah locked every door. She wrapped Eli in a heat blanket and tried to calm him. He opened his eyes slowly. "You should have let them take me," he said. "Now they'll come for you too." Sarah shook her head. "Let them come." "But why?" he asked. She took his tiny hand in hers. "Because I already lost one child. I won't lose another." Eli looked at her for a long time. "You're not supposed to be here," he whispered again. "You weren't part of the plan." Sarah frowned. "What plan?" He sat up slowly. "The plan to end everything." Her eyes widened. "Eli, what are you?" He looked at her with glowing, ancient eyes. "I'm the beginning of the end." Asterisk, mother of a monster? Asterisk, the storm outside the Martian base had passed, but inside, the air was heavier than ever. Sarah sat beside Eli's bed. He had been asleep for hours, his body glowing softly with every breath. A light blue pulse ran through his skin, like electricity beneath glass. She couldn't sleep. Her hands trembled. Her thoughts raced. That voice still echoed in her mind. He is the key, a living gate. The beginning of the end. She looked down at the child and whispered, "What are you, Eli?" Suddenly, his eyes opened. "I'm scared," he said softly. Sarah exhaled in relief. "You and me both." She helped him sit up. He looked older than before. Not in size, but in his expression. Like he remembered things a child shouldn't remember. "I had a dream," he said. "I saw my real mother." Sarah looked at him, heart sinking a little. "She had no face," Eli continued. "She was made of light. She said I was born from the last pulse of a dying star." He paused. "Does that mean I'm not real?" Sarah crouched in front of him. "Listen to me. I don't care where you came from. You feel real. You cry, you laugh, you care. That's what makes someone real." Eli nodded slowly. "Then why are they hunting me?" Sarah hesitated. "Because they're afraid of what you might become." He looked up at her. "What if they're right?" Before she could answer, alarms rang across the base. Intrusion detected. Sarah jumped up and ran to the main console. She checked the motion sensors. Nothing outside. But something was already inside. One of the sealed chambers, the storage room, had been opened from the inside. Sarah grabbed her cutter and rushed down the hallway, Eli following behind. The room was dark. Dust floated in the air like glitter. Something had smashed open the locked weapons crate, but nothing was taken. Instead, symbols were carved into the walls. Glowing purple marks. Like a language no human had ever written. Eli stared at the symbols, his mouth trembling. "What is this?" Sarah asked. "I don't remember writing them," he said. "But I think I understand them." Sarah leaned in. "What do they say?" Eli touched one of the symbols. It pulsed under his fingers. "She is not your mother. You are not the child. You are the gate." A sudden noise startled them. The base's power core began to overheat. Sparks flew. Lights flashed red. Sarah grabbed Eli's hand. "We have to shut it down." They ran to the core room. Inside, the main reactor was glowing bright. Too bright. The temperature was rising. If it blew, they'd be gone in seconds. "Can you stop it?" she asked Eli. I think so." He reached toward the core. His eyes went pure white. The power surged, then collapsed to zero. The room went dark. Total silence. Sarah stared at Eli. You stopped a nuclear meltdown." Eli looked exhausted. "I didn't stop it. I told it to rest." She knelt beside him. "How did you do that?" "I don't know," he said quietly, "but it's getting stronger. Whatever's inside me, it's waking up." Sarah took a deep breath. "Then we'll figure it out, together." But just as she said it, the screen above them flickered back on, without power. A face appeared. Glitching, robotic, a man in a black uniform. "Earth Authority, Dr. Sarah Collins. This is Command Director Voss. You are harboring an unregistered Class 7 anomaly. You are ordered to surrender the specimen immediately." She narrowed her eyes. "He's not a specimen. He's a child." "Incorrect. The entity is a reality-bending bioform. If you do not comply, you will be declared hostile to Earth." Sarah stepped in front of the screen. "You can declare whatever you want. I'm not giving him to you." Voss's face glitched. "Again." "Very well. Extraction teams en route. Estimated arrival, 6 hours. We will not ask again." The screen went black. Eli stared at her. "You're going to fight Earth." "For me?" Sarah swallowed hard. "I'm not just fighting for you. I'm fighting for the idea that kids, no matter where they come from, deserve to be safe." He looked down. "You don't know what I really am. I saw it in my dream." Sarah leaned in. "What did you see?" His hands began to shake. "I saw stars collapsing, planets dying, and me, floating above it all, alone." Sarah took both his hands in hers. "You are not alone. You have me now, Eli looked up. But what if I destroy everything? She smiled softly. Then we'll destroy it together. Suddenly, the floor trembled. Not from above, from beneath. A crack formed near the wall. A voice whispered from below, ancient and deep. He is the gate. She is the key. Together, they will open us all. Sarah froze. Eli backed away. The hollow galaxy. It's not a place, it's a prison. Sarah stared at the floor, at her hands, and then at Eli. What if they weren't chasing you to hurt you? She whispered. What if they were trying to keep you locked up? Eli's eyes glowed. Again, brighter than ever. And then he said the words that made her blood run cold. Maybe I was never meant to escape. The escape from Earth asterisk. The Earthship Horizon Breaker hovered above Mars like a vulture. Long, black and silent, its hull absorbed light like a void. No symbols, no flags. Just one glowing mark. EA7, the number of Earth's silent strike. Division. Sarah watched it from the lab window. Her heart thudded in her chest like it was trying to escape before she did. They're early, she whispered. Eli stood beside her, eyes still dim from what had happened underground. The glowing symbols, the voice, the whisper about them being the key and the gate. They're not here to talk, he said. They're here to erase. Sarah snapped into action. She knew protocol. When Earth Authority deployed a silent strike ship, there were only two outcomes: surrender or vanish. She ran to her old launch bay, a dusty chamber that hadn't been used in years. A small ship sat in the corner. The Rook, her personal survey vessel. Old, slow, and barely spaceworthy. But right now, it was their only shot. Inside the ship, red lights flashed. Power levels at 40%. Navigation offline. Come on, you Rusty. Toaster, Sarah muttered. Eli sat in the co-pilot seat, watching her with wide eyes. Are we going to die? Sarah didn't look up. Not today, kid. Not if I can help it. She slammed a fist into the power core panel. Sparks flew. Then, with a deep, struggling hum, the engine came to life. The bay doors began to open, slowly revealing the black sky and the glowing lights of Horizon Breaker above them. A voice came through her comms. Unauthorized launch detected. Cease departure or you will be neutralized. Sarah gritted her teeth. I'd like to see you try. She hit the thrusters. The Rook screamed as it lifted off, shaking violently. Old metal. Groaned. Everything inside rattled. They broke through Mars' atmosphere in seconds. But Horizon Breaker was waiting. Laser locks. Auto target system. 3 red lights landed on the Rook's hull. Lock acquired. Prepare to be boarded. Eli looked at Sarah. They're going to hit us. But before they could fire, something else appeared. A third ship dropped out of hyperspace, sleek, silver, and silent. It had no name, no windows, and moved like a ghost. The Horizon Breaker paused, confused, and then the unknown ship fired first. Boom. A shockwave rippled through space. One of Horizon Breaker's engines exploded in flame. Sarah's jaw dropped. Who the hell? The silver ship transmitted one message only. Chosen, protected, run. She didn't wait. The Rook jumped into hyperspace. Everything turned white. They dropped out of hyperspace near a small moon. No known name, no signal. Just dust, ice, and silence. The ship was barely holding together. Systems flickered. The Rook spun slowly into orbit. Sarah landed the ship as softly as she could, then collapsed into the pilot's seat. Her hands were still shaking. Eli stared at the stars outside the window. Someone helped us, he said. Sarah nodded. Yeah, question is why? Hours passed. Sarah repaired what she could. Ellie slept, though he twitched often, whispering in his dreams. She finally sat down, exhausted, and turned on the ship's old AI system. The hologram flickered to life. A soft female voice spoke. Welcome back, Dr. Collins. I see you've brought a guest. Sarah raised an eyebrow. You can detect him? He is not easy to miss. I suggest you watch the records. Someone left you a message. A hidden file opened. It was a video. Decades old, grainy, labeled Project Hollow, subject 1. Sarah played it. On the screen, a younger version of herself appeared, standing in a white lab on Earth. Behind her, a floating pod, inside it, a glowing blue embryo. Her own voice echoed through the video. Today we begin the Hollow Interface experiment, designed to communicate across dimensions. Powered by starlight, coated with human DNA, a child. Built to connect with the unknown. She gasped. No, she whispered. This can't be. The file continued. Subject 001 will be seated on Mars to test memory retention and development. If successful, we will create more. The video ended. Sarah dropped the screen. Her hands were cold. You're not just an alien, she said to the sleeping child. You're mine. Eli woke up later. She couldn't look at him the same. You didn't fall from space, she said softly. You were planted, built, by us, by Earth. Eli blinked, confused. But I remember another world. You weren't supposed to. That's the hollow galaxy's memory leaking through. You weren't born. You were designed. Tears welled up in Eli's eyes. Then, I'm not real? Sarah shook her head. No, you're more than real. You're hope, fear, power, but you're still a child, my child. Ayla sat beside her. I don't want to hurt anyone. Sarah hugged him tightly. Then don't. We'll find another way. Just then, a sound echoed through the ship. A voice. Not through speakers. Not from the ship. Inside their minds. You are not safe. They will come again. You must run. Or you must awaken. Sarah looked around. Who said that? Eli stood up slowly. I know that voice. Sarah watched in horror as his body began to glow again, brighter than ever. The light filled the ship. Eli's feet lifted off the ground. His eyes were white suns. The gate is opening, he said. But his voice wasn't his. Sarah shielded her eyes. Eli, come back. You must choose, he said. Hide or become. And just like that, the light vanished. Eli collapsed. Sarah caught him. His pulse was weak. The ship's AI activated again. Warning, a ripple has been detected. Earth Command knows your location. Strike teams arriving in 6 hours. Sarah stared out the window at the stars. She whispered, no more running. Voices from the hollow. Sarah stood in the cockpit, staring at the stars. But the stars were changing. Not moving. Not blinking. Changing. Some were vanishing. Others were being rewritten. New constellations forming in real time. The sky no longer followed science. It followed Eli. He lay in the medical bunk, still unconscious. Since the light burst inside the ship, he hadn't woken. His skin glowed faintly, patterns crawling beneath the surface, not veins. But something like language. The Rook's eye whispered softly. His neural patterns are not stable. He is being overwritten. Something else is trying to speak through him. Sarah gritted her teeth. Then we need answers. The AI beeped. I detect a dimensional rift nearby, 0.3 light minutes. Anomaly suggests a passage into non-Newtonian space. She sighed. Let me guess, hollow galaxy. Confirmed. She had 2 options. Run. Go into the place Earth feared. The place Eli was born from. The place calling her by name. She didn't hesitate. Entry into the hollow galaxy. The Rook moved forward. And the stars ahead began to bend. Not warp. Not blur. Bend. Like glass being melted. The universe peeled open, and they flew through. Inside was nothing, but not blackness, not emptiness. It was like falling into someone's forgotten memory. No color. No sound. No time. Sarah held onto the control panel as her senses twisted. Her hands aged, then became young. Her breath moved backward. Her tears hovered in the air, then vanished. A voice filled the ship. Not from speakers, out from everything. You brought the gate here. Sarah stood slowly. Who are you? The air answered. We are the ones who built what you now fear. You call us the Hollow, but we are not empty. We are full of endings. She looked back at Eli. He was floating now above the bed, eyes open, glowing pure white. Eli, she whispered. His mouth moved, but the voice wasn't his. He was made by your kind, but born through us. He is the link between curiosity and consequence. Sarah clenched her fists. He's just a child. He is the last child. The only one left who can open what must remain closed. Sarah, step forward. Then why are you speaking to me? Because you are his mother. The Council of Shadows, a shape formed outside the ship. Enormous, shifting, undefined. It wasn't a being. It was a presence. Then others appeared, like shadows made of galaxies, whispering in languages not meant for flesh. Still, somehow Sarah understood. They were the remnants. The original voices that designed the first dimensions. Now broken. And locked inside the Hollow for eternity. They surrounded the Rook, speaking in unison. He must be unmade. Before he completes the opening, Sarah screamed. He's not a weapon. He's a boy. A long silence. Then, another voice. A familiar one. Maybe he can be both. Sarah turned. Eli was standing, awake. Different. His skin shimmered like stardust. His eyes were no longer glowing. They were mirrors. She saw herself inside them. Mom, he said. I know what I am now. She stepped closer, terrified. What are you, sweetheart? He looked down. I'm the lock. You're the key, they told me. You activated me the moment you called me your son. Sarah backed up slightly. You mean love turned you on? He nodded. Not love. Choice. You chose me now. The gate is ready to open. My body will become the road. My mind, the door. No, she whispered. I didn't mean. I was just trying to protect you. Eli smiled sadly. You did, and that's why it worked. The decision. The remnants spoke again. There are two futures. One, he opens the gate. Every mind in the universe connects. No more secrets, no more lies, but no more self. Two, he is unmade, and the universe continues. Blind, safe, alone. Sarah fell to her knees. You're asking me to destroy him. We are not asking. We are letting you choose. Eli stepped forward. If I live, the gate opens. I become everything. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. And if you don't, he looked down. Then I just go to sleep. Forever. Sarah sobbed. That's not a choice. That's a nightmare. Eli touched her face. It's okay. You always said I wasn't alone. Even if I die, I'll still be with you. The Rooks of I beeped one final message. Warning, Earth Armada. Entering Hollow coordinates. 10 minutes until arrival. If gate opens, all ships will be overwritten. The remnants added, if Earth sees him transform, they will attack, and everything ends in war. You must decide now. Sarah held Eli's face in her hands. Do you want to open the gate? She whispered. He nodded. I want to show them something better. Do you want to stay with me? He smiled. Only if you stay with me. She looked at him, at the universe, at the remnants. Then she did the most dangerous thing in existence. She hugged him and whispered, then let's open it together. The gate opens. The Hollow trembled. Sarah and Eli became surrounded by white light, warm, infinite. The ship vanished. The moon vanished. The stars, time, and space folded like paper, and then silence, followed by a whisper in every mind in the universe. You are not alone. When Earth strikes back *T-, 10 minutes to contact. That's what the Rook's emergency. AI repeated over and over. But Sarah wasn't listening anymore. She stood, hand in hand with Eli in the blinding white glow of the hollow galaxy, no longer afraid, no longer unsure. For the first time, she understood everything, every moment, every decision, every star she'd ever looked at as a child. They were all leading here. Meanwhile, Earth was panicking. On the Earth Fleet flagship Judgment's Hand, orbiting just outside the rift to the hollow galaxy, Commander Vos stood frozen, staring at the impossible readings. "Sir," one officer said, "we've never seen these readings. Light particles are looping backward. Mass is responding to thoughts." "And the boy?" Vos asked. "He's becoming something else. Something we can't stop if we wait any longer." Vos didn't blink. "Then we don't wait." Back inside the hollow, Sarah and Eli stood at the center of a galaxy that wasn't made of stars, but of memories. Each flickering light around them was a life, a thought, a forgotten love, or a scream lost in time. They weren't alone anymore. The remnants were silent, watching. Because now Earth had arrived. A fleet of 87 warships, all locked onto one target, Eli. "They're afraid," Eli whispered. Sarah nodded. "That's what they do when they're afraid. They shoot." He turned to her. "Should I stop them?" The glowing in his chest was now brighter than the hollow itself. I can reach into their ships, turn their minds off. Make them dream forever. No more pain." Sarah stared at him, horrified. "That's not a solution. That's removal. But it's peaceful." She crouched to meet his eyes. "True peace only means something if people choose it." Eli looked away. "Then they'll destroy me." Sarah held his hands. "Maybe, but you'll still be more human than they ever were." The first shot came fast. A railgun round fired from Judgment's Hand tore through space and entered the hollow, then slowed down. As if space itself was thinking about it. Then the bullet turned around and gently floated back to the ship. Eli hadn't moved, but the message was clear. "I'm not here to fight," he whispered, "but I won't let them hurt you." Inside Earth command panic, systems glitching, pilots hallucinating. One ship reported its own II begging for mercy. Commander Vos barked orders. "Target the anomaly. Use level 9 override. All nuclear payloads. Launch on my mark." The fleet aimed everything at one glowing child floating in a memory-shaped sky. Sarah heard it all. Ailey had connected her mind to the whole fleet. She could feel their fear, their rage. Their lies. "He's a weapon. He's the end of free thought. He's rewriting the laws of physics. He must die." She looked at Ailey. "You still sure you want to open the gate?" He smiled. "Only if you're still with me." Sarah took a breath. Her voice cracked. "Always." The transformation. Eli took one step forward. His body lifted higher. The remnants, beings of shadow, memory, and loss, began to sing. Not with voices, with time. The hollow rippled. The gate opened, but it wasn't a door. It was a reflection. Gate showed each Earth soldier what they feared the most. Some saw death. Others saw their childhood. Some saw themselves holding their own children, begging for forgiveness. Ships began to drift. Weapons powered down. Some pilots wept. But then Commander Vos launched the final weapon, a God Splitter. The only device designed to destroy matter on a quantum level. It headed straight for Eli. Sarah screamed, "Eli, do something." The choice. Eli turned toward the weapon. It froze. Time bent around it. He looked at Sarah one last time. And smiled. "I choose both." With a flash of impossible light, Eli vanished. The weapon turned to flowers. The fleet turned to silence. The remnants whispered as the hollow folded in on itself. The gate has chosen its path. The boy is no longer a boy. Silent Sarah stood alone. Back in the rook. Back in space. No hollow. No gate. No Eli. Just silence. A single transmission echoed across the galaxy. This is Commander Vos. All systems are offline. We saw things. Some of us can't remember who we are. Others say they've been changed. The war is over. The boy is gone. We lost, or maybe we were forgiven later. Sarah stood on a quiet moon. She had returned to the only place she could, far from Earth, far from war. Each night, she looked at the stars and whispered, "I'm still with you." And then one night, she heard it back. "Me too, Mom." Home isn't a planet asterisk. The stars were quiet. No alarms. No warnings. No transmissions. Just silence. Sarah sat on the cold surface of a small, unclaimed moon, orbiting a dead gas giant. Her ship, the Rook, was now more shelter than spacecraft. It didn't fly anymore. But that was okay. She wasn't running anymore. Every night, she stepped outside in her old Earth-issued coat, stared at the galaxy above, and whispered the same words, "I'm still with you." And most nights, the stars stayed quiet. But some nights, she felt something, a warmth, a flicker of breath on her cheek, a pull in her heart, like someone was whispering back. A new visitor one day. After nearly a year alone, her scanner pinned, not a threat, just a life form. One, approaching slowly. She stood outside as the shape drew near, a tall figure in a hooded cloak, stepping across the dust like it weighed nothing. It stopped 10 feet away. Sarah didn't speak, but her chest was tight, like her lungs had forgotten what to do. The figure pulled back its hood, and there he was. Eli. But he wasn't a boy anymore. His body was taller, older, maybe 16, maybe 60. His skin shimmered faintly, not glowing, but alive. His eyes held galaxies. But his smile, it was still his. "Hi, Mom," he said softly. Sarah ran to him, and for a long time, there were no words, just a hug that didn't want to end. The truth about what he became later. They sat inside the Rook. He drank tea. Not because he needed it, but because she needed to see him do something human. "Are you still you?" she asked. He nodded. "More me than ever. You opened the gate. You connected everything. What does that make you now?" Eli stared into his cup. "Not a god. Not a weapon. I became understanding. I felt every mind in the galaxy, Mom. Every cry, every wish, every lie people told themselves to sleep at night." Sarah leaned forward. "And it didn't crush you?" "It nearly did. But one thought pulled me back. Over and over again." She smiled. "Mine? You. Every time I started to lose myself in the infinite, I remembered the way you held my hand on Mars. That day you gave me soup. That time you covered me with a blanket and said I wasn't alone." His voice cracked. "That's the kind of power they don't understand. That's the kind that saves everything." Earth's response. Sarah frowned. "Earth? The fleet? Are they?" Eli nodded. "Changed. Some are scared, some are angry. But most," he looked up, "most are quiet now. They've tasted the truth. And when you taste truth, you don't go back to fear easily. So what now?" Eli stood. "Earth wants answers, but they don't want war anymore." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Since when does Earth not want war?" He smiled. "Since they saw what happens when you give a child love instead of orders. The final choice, but there was still one truth left, one that Eli had been avoiding." "Mom," he said gently, "the gate is still open." Sarah sat up straighter. "I thought it closed when you vanished." "I didn't close it. I became it. But it's still out there, still calling." "Calling who?" "Other versions of me." Sarah's blood ran cold. "You mean there are more?" Eli nodded. "Earth didn't stop with one prototype. They made hundreds, sent them to different planets. Most were destroyed. Some evolved. And now? Now they hear the gate. And they're coming. The arrival suddenly, the Rook systems lit up. Unregistered vessel detected. Multiple life signs. Outside, streaks of light landed. Across the moon. Ships. Dozens, not Earth fleet. Not remnants, others, children, teenagers, adults, all glowing. All half human, half something else. They stepped out in silence and knelt before Eli. One spoke. We heard you. We followed the light. Alile looked overwhelmed. I didn't call you. You didn't need to. Sarah looked at the dozens of glowing beings around them. What happens now? She asked. Eli's voice shook. They're lost. Like I was, they need guidance. So you're going to lead them? Eli shook his head. No, we're going. To build something. A place for all of us. Not Earth, not hollow, something in between. Sarah stepped beside him. A home? He looked at her, smiled warmly. Yeah, but this time, home isn't a planet. It's a feeling. One last whisper later that night. Sarah stood under the stars again. Eli was working with the others, building something from light. And memory. A city, maybe. A place that could only exist in a story. Or in a dream, she whispered. You'll leave again, won't you? Behind her, Eli spoke softly. I'll always leave, Mom, but I'll always return. You don't lose. People when they become part of you. Sarah closed her eyes. Smiled. Then I'll always wait. Final line, and in the stars above, galaxies bloomed. Because one woman chose to love what others feared. And one child chose to become more than what he was built to be. Together, they didn't just save the universe. They gave it a reason to feel again.